because the host has stopped. Stop my video.
You're there, Joanna. Council McKenna.
Oh,
1,
thank
2,
you.
3,
Okay.
4, 5, 6,
I
7,
didn't
8.
see myself.
Councilor Powers, hold on. Jerry's on.
Councilor Powers is here.
Okay, Madam Clerk. Calling to order the meeting of Monday, November 9th, 2020. We'll all rise and salute the flag.
Allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag of the United States of America,
America.
And
To
to
the
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 republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
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 God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
for all.
For all.
Oh, God.
Madam Clerk.
Roll call of the members, Councilor Janino. Here. Here, Councilor Guanasso.
Here.
Here, Councilor McKenna.
Here,
Here, Councilor Morbido.
Here.
Here, Councilor Novoselsky.
Here, madam.
Here, Councilor Powers.
Here.
Here, Councilor Rotundo. He's not here at the moment. Councilor Sereno.
Here.
Here, Councilor Visconti.
Here.
Here, Councilor Zambuto.
Here.
Here, and Council President Keefe.
Here.
Here, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And just wanted to bring up to the residents of Revere and the people watching online or on the TV, this meeting is now being translated. So there's a translation services, and that's quite a feat for the Revere City Council. And I just wanted to thank our translator for being here and being present with us.
Calendar
Madam
item number 2, approval of the journal of the regular meeting of October 26th, 2020.
Motion
All in favor? So ordered.
Mr. President.
Madam Council McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to suspend the rules to take up the motion number 10, 20, 368. We have
Okay.
attendees wanting to speak, so I'd like to do that first, please.
No problem. All in favor of suspension of rules?
Aye.
So ordered.
Calendar item number 10, motion presented by Councilor McKenna, that the mayor approve the city council's request to name the community garden in Beachmont to be located on Broad Sound Avenue, the Corey Abrams Community Garden. Corey was a staple in Beachmont, always going above and beyond to help his neighbors. His generosity to people in need always went unnoticed. This is a wonderful tribute to an amazing young man.
Thank you. And Councilor McKenna, I know you're going to speak first, and
Yes.
I believe there are a number of participants wishing to speak. If you could just use the raise hand function, of course, we'll go to you, and then we'll have the presenters and the attendants allowed to speak as well.
Okay.
Councilor
I'm
McKenna.
going to raise my,
Yes,
thank you.
sir, you go.
Okay. Corey Abrams was my pal. He was everyone's pal. That infectious laugh, his selflessness. He always gave back to the people in need and to his community, but it often went unnoticed. Corey was a true friend, and I miss him every day. He was always advocating for me. Corey was instrumental in helping me put up and take down my political signs. He was dedicated to my campaign, and he always called me once a week to check in and make sure I was okay. It would only be appropriate for the Beachmont community and the city of Revere to support the naming of the upcoming community garden on Broad Sound Avenue to the Corey Abrams Community Garden. A great honor to celebrate a kind young man and a beautiful soul who was a staple in the Beachmont community and a friend to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. And councilors wishing to speak. We have Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, thank you very much. It was a pleasure knowing a young man as gracious as Corey Abrams. Every single time I needed something, I just picked up the phone and Corey was on the other line saying yes before I even asked the question. He's just a wonderful individual. I've been blessed to have his life shared with me and my family. And I shall never forget the wonderful gestures he's made in the thoughts of, in the very smallest part of life is in helping someone in politics. He was always in the background helping me and putting up those signs and taking them down. In fact, his dad helped him remove the sign that I had adjacent to Vertuccio's, and it was a big sign. So when Corey was taking it down, he kissed it. And so his dad took the picture, and it was just like, it was really unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. It was such a great picture, a nice shot that his dad took of him doing that. And that's just the type of guy he was, just a great kid, a great person. And he's in a better place. God is now being with him. He's watching over all of us for sure. Anything for Corey would be appreciated, and certainly his wonderful wife and family, and really appreciate the fact that we're doing this little small gesture on his behalf. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. And next with Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've known Corey for a long time as well. Great guy. Just very involved politically, very involved in the community, just engaged completely, 100%. I couldn't think of a better tribute and how to memorialize him in a better way than what Councilor McKenna proposed tonight. So I look forward to voting in favor of this.
Thank you, Councilor. And
Thank
next is Councilor Visconti. I'll get you, John.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is an excellent motion, and I'm in full support of this 100%. He was not only a good person, but he was a dedicated husband, a loving father, and to top it off, he was a Savio graduate. And it goes without saying that that Corey and the Abrams family has been a staple in the Beachmont community. And I think it's this motion and is just and would be an excellent tribute to Corey and the entire Abrams family. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo.
We're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to try to be brief because I don't want to start crying. To know Kerry Abrams was to love him. The kid was a wonderful soul. He didn't have a bad bone in his body. He had a heart of gold and would do anything for anybody. I was the council president when he served us that time on the city council, but a better human being, I don't know. So may he rest in peace, and I certainly support my colleague from Ward 1. I can't think of anything more appropriate and something everlasting for Corey. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, everybody said many good things about Corey. I remember when he was born. I've known Hal for many moons. I went to high school with Roberta, Corey's aunt, and it was just such a sad, sad story. But this is a great, great tribute to put something permanent in the city of Revere with Corey's name on it. He deserves it. Great kid. He and I used to meet during snowstorms while we were plowing. And we always had a good time having a cup of coffee, etc. So thank you, Joanne, for putting this in. And everybody will be proud when it's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rotundo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Corey was not only a counselor, but he was my friend, and I miss him dearly. This tribute to him and his family, I fully support. And I thank Joanne for putting it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to applaud Councilor McKenna for putting this motion in. I think it's something that really needed to be done. I knew Corey Abrams as a friend. I was formerly from the Beachmont area. I was familiar with his family. This is a young man that always had respect for people. We sometimes were on different sides of the fence politically, but after that, we laugh and joke together. There was no animosity. There was no hard feelings. That's the type of person Corey Abrams was. And the Abrams family in Beachmont has been a staple there for years. If you go along Winter Parkway, you'll see all of the homes there that his grandfather built years and years ago. So I'm very happy this motion went in tonight, and just like I said, it's long overdue, and I'm very happy to see it here. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to commend my colleague, Councilor McKenna, on a really wonderful motion. We all knew Corey, and Corey was just such a kind and caring and loving soul. And a big part of that was because of his roots and his family. And the Abrams family, I think, has been a staple in the city of Revere for so long. And, you know, a lot of the conversations I had with Corey were around politics, and he was always so engaged and so interested in the community. And I cannot think of a more fitting way to remember someone than a beautiful tribute like this, Councilor McKenna. So I commend you on this motion. I think it is a wonderful and a very fitting tribute. And I hope that when all of this settles down, we can have a real proper dedication and service for him there.
Thank you, Councilor. And Councilor Sereno?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to commend Councilor McKenna for filing this motion. It is a very fitting tribute to Corey. Corey truly was a kind and gentle soul. I got to know him just on various political campaigns working together. And I know when Rep. Vincent first ran, he put up all her signs, took her signs down. You just a phone call away, and he would help in whatever capacity he could. And one of the last times I saw him, I actually bumped into him because I was going to an ATM in Winthrop, and I didn't even realize he had a little tree, not a tree farm, but a Christmas tree lot. And we talked and we reminisced a bit, and it was a really nice memory, one of my last memories with him. I'll always treasure. So to Kerry, to Kim, to Hal, I'm still very, very sorry for your family's loss, and I think this will be a very fitting and beautiful tribute once it's complete. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. I'm going to save my comments for the end. I know there's a number of residents and colleagues and friends that wish to speak on this motion. So the first person I'm going to ask to speak is Corey's sister, and that's Kerry. So I'd like to ask Kerry to speak, and I know there's a number of others after her. Ms. Abrams, Ms. Perullo.
I go by both. How are you?
And Hal.
Yeah, Hal is here with me.
Hey, Hal.
Just on behalf of the Abrams family, on behalf of Corey's wife and his 5 children, my parents and myself, thank you.
You're welcome, honey.
We're going to start with Felipe.
Sure. Hi, my name is Felipe Aguilera. I grew up in Beachmont. I moved to Beachmont in the 4th grade. That is when I met Corey and his beautiful family. I remember playing basketball riding our bikes and swimming in Corey's pool in the summer. I remember Corey always trying to make people laugh, no matter where we were or what we were doing. He loved having a good time. If I had to describe Corey, this is what comes to mind. Kind, generous, funny, very hardworking, and especially a friend. You could always count on Corey. He truly cared for people and always wanted the best for everyone. To me, Corey is the definition of what a father, son, brother, and friend should be. He loved his family and his friends dearly. Corey was a special person to many people. All the people around him loved him. Corey has left a footprint in the hearts of many, especially those in the Revere community. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words about my good friend. Thank you.
More than welcome. So we also have in attendance former Mayor and City Councilor Dan Rizzo. I'd like to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, Madam Clerk, honorable members of the council, and certainly to the Abrams family that's here. You know, it was a tragic loss for all of us, but the city of Revere does have a very steep history in honoring and remembering prominent residents, and certainly Corey Abrams falls into that category. I think, you know, rather than just go on, if it's okay, and again, I want to thank Councilor McKenna for putting in this motion. I had sent a letter of support to her and didn't realize that, you know, that the council would be taking testimony on the motion. But if it's okay, it's only going to take just a minute or two just to read the letter that I sent to her. And I think that would pretty much summarize the way I feel anyway.
Sure.
And basically it was addressed to Council McKenna. I'd like to offer this letter of support for renaming the Beachmont Community Garden the Corey Abrams Community Garden. Corey was well known and well loved. It was hard not to be totally consumed with his sense of humor and infectious laugh. He was one of the most kind-hearted, generous, compassionate people I have ever known. Corey was the first to lend a hand to anyone who needed it, whether it was to help landscape a distressed area, participate in a community betterment project, or make someone's day by giving them a free Christmas tree or wreath who may have been temporarily down and out. Corey was there in support. And although he ultimately chose to settle down with his family outside of Revere, he never ever lost a love and concern for the neighborhoods that make up the Beachmont area. In fact, the only thing that surpassed his love for Revere was the love he had for his family. He shared an amazing relationship with his entire family, including his parents, his sister Kerry, his wife Kristen, and his 5 amazing children. It's safe to say that family was everything to him. Obviously, we lost Corey Abrams far too soon, but honoring him with the renaming of this community garden will serve as a perpetual reminder to his family, friends, and members of a grateful community of the indelible impression he has left and for all he has meant to Beachmont and so many others. So again, Council McKenna, I just want to thank you personally, just on behalf of myself, for submitting this motion. It sounds like the council, at least up to now, is unanimous in the support for the motion. And I think it's a wonderful tribute to Corey and his family, and I'm proud to support it. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo. And I believe there are a few more that wish to speak. James, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, thanks so much for your time. Don't want it to be too long. You know, I just want to kind of reiterate what everyone else said. Corey, I feel like the only people who weren't friends with Corey are the people who never got a chance to meet him, because he was just one of those guys where just infectious in the way he would be willing to help people or make people laugh. And it was just a great guy to run into. It for me, it was always running in here and there, and always just being delighted and being able to, you know, talk to Carrie and say, hey, guess who I saw today? And besides that, he was very much like a brother to my mother and my uncles. And I just think this is a great tribute, and I support it unconditionally on behalf of myself and my family.
Thank you, Mr. DiSabatino. Any others wishing to speak? Carrie, I know you had a letter that you wished for me to read.
I think I can get through it. Let's see how we go. This is a letter from Jillian Leiden. She lived at 35 Rogan Street in Revere, just off of Broadtown Ave. And she wrote, next April will be 17 years that I've lived in Ford's Village with my 3 kids. In 2003, I answered an ad in the Revere Journal at 25 years old, and I met Corey for the first time. He offered me the house 3 days later. The house that he had in fact lived in as a child. I wasn't an ideal tenant, and I didn't have the best credit. I was a single mother. I had a solid work history. Some references. But based on our conversation, he decided to rent to me. In the 11 years that Corey was my landlord, there were very few days that he wasn't on our property. Checking on things, I watched him bring people meals. I watched him trying to work out how people could pay their rent if they were behind. I watched him waiting for elderly neighbors to come home so he could bring in their groceries. He bought Christmas trees to anyone that couldn't afford them. Every year, there would be 3 pumpkins left on my doorstep for my kids. He always hung a wreath on my door for Christmas, and he continued to do so after they sold the property in 2014. Any election season, you'd see him picking up and dropping off people, bringing them to the polls. When the weather was bad, he'd always call me and say, what time should I grab you from Beachmont Station to go vote? I could go on for days about all the things he did for my family and others, but I will leave you with this one story. In 2009, the unit I shared a wall with had caught on fire the week before Christmas. Corey called me at work to tell me what was going on. The kids and I were already at school and work, so thankfully we were safe. When I got home, I had to run from Broadtown Ave because all the emergency vehicles had surrounded our property. The unit next door to us was totally gone, and flooding had gone into my unit. After finding out that everyone was okay, I selfishly started to think about my kids' gifts hidden in the closet. Corey had grabbed me and brought me over to a fire truck, opened the door, and he saved every gift. We started working on my unit the week before Christmas so I could stay there for Christmas. The community garden is a wonderful idea.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
Well, as a few had mentioned, of course, I know the entire city council is 1000% behind this, not just for Councilor McKenna, but for the Abrams family and for what they've done for this community. And if I can just be brief on a couple notes, without knowing, 20 years ago or 19 years ago, the first Christmas tree I ever bought that was live, because I grew up with fake trees, shame on me, was from that lot in East Boston, Winthrop line from Corey's lot. And fast forward many years later, my family became very close with the Abrams family and still is to this day, most notably Carrie, her dad, and her brother, Corey. So when I think of Corey, I certainly think of his family. I think of his loyalty. And of course, I think of his smile. And that's how I'll always remember Corey. And I know that he has a large legacy with his family, and he's got a wonderful wife and children. So this year, the lot on the Winthrop East Boston line will be selling Corey's trees, as they always have, and they will continue to. And the benefits will go to the charity named in Corey's in the name of Corey. So I just wanted to say thank you to the Abrams family for giving us your son for the time that he was here on this earth, and he will not be forgotten. So
Mr.
on the motion,
President, can I just close?
Yes, Councilman McKenna.
So those Christmas trees will be the Abrams children will be selling those Christmas trees starting on November 27th on 69 Main Street in Winthrop. And all the proceeds will be given to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in honor of Corey Abrams. So please, if you're gonna go out and buy a Christmas tree, please go to 69 Main Street and buy a Christmas tree for a great cause. Thanks.
Thank you, Council McKenna. All in favor on the motion?
Aye.
So ordered.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good job, Joanne.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Hal. Bye, Kerry. Bye, Paige. Bye, honey.
Aye, Kerry.
Back to
Motion
the regular
return to
order of
field
business.
So moved.
Ordered.
Legislative Affairs Committee report.
Council Morbido?
Thank you, Mr. President. So earlier this evening, the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee met. We had 3 items on the agenda, which one of the 3 were voted out favorably to be voted on tonight by the City Council. The motion that will be voted on tonight will be an ordinance relative to amending meeting times of governmental bodies. If the city clerk can please read the amended version.
Madam Clerk?
Yep. I just have to pull it up in my email. Hold on, guys. The amended version is as follows, being reported out of the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee. Section 1, Section 2.03.050, open meetings, is hereby amended by inserting new subsection 2.03.050E as follows. All meetings of governmental bodies shall not commence before the hour of 5 p.m. Monday through Friday or before 10 o'clock a.m. on Saturday or Sunday in matters deemed necessary by the presiding officer of the following. Board of Health, City Council Committee of the Whole and Subcommittees, Conservation Commission, Commission on Disabilities, Human Rights Commission, Planning Board, Traffic Commission, and Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you,
President, I ask for a roll call.
Okay, Madam Clerk, this should be reported out favorably and ordered on a second reading as amended. Ordered on a third and final reading as amended. A request for engrossment and ordainment on a roll call.
Roll call, Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor McKenna. Councilor McKenna is absent. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rotundo. Councilor Rotundo is absent. Councilor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Zambuto.
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Keefe.
Yes.
Yes.
And Madam Clerk, Council McKenna just came back in. Did you want to be affirmative on that, Council McKenna?
Councilor McKenna, what's your vote?
Mute.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you,
Councilor
Mr.
McKenna
President.
voting yes. The ordinance regarding meeting times is engrossed and ordained.
And that wraps up your report, Councilman Morbido.
Oh, that would be nice if I unmuted myself, right? Yeah, that concludes my report of the Legislative Subcommittee meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Morbido.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So next up, we have the appointment committee report. Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, earlier this afternoon, the appointment subcommittee met, and we had one item before us. We had the appointment 20-308, appointment of N&M Excavating as a licensed drain layer, and that was voted out favorably by the subcommittee, and I ask this council to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All in favor on the roll call?
Aye.
Ordered. Oh, sorry.
Next item is communications. Calendar item number 7, communication from the Board of Assessors requesting that the City Council hold a public hearing for the purpose of establishing the minimum residential factor for FY 2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have Dana Bragenfort that is going to speak on this, but just so you councilors know, this is going to go to a public hearing on the 23rd. But if you, Mr. Bragenfort, if you had something that you wanted to bring up on that?
Good evening. No, nothing tonight. I'll be back on the night of the public hearing to discuss what's going on with values and its effects on the tax rate, things like that. So if it's tonight, it's just simply just a request for the public hearing.
Thank you, Dana. Any councilors on the motion? So ordered. All in favor? So ordered.
Aye.
Thank you.
Calendar item number 8, motions. Motion presented by Councilors Sereno and McKenna that the mayor instruct the parking director to only enforce street sweeping in December of this year by giving out warnings, not fines. This will be the first year that the city has extended the street sweeping program by 1 month into December, and many people are just becoming aware of this.
Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few people had called me, and they might not have realized in the spring, you guys might remember in the spring, we, at the request of Councilor McKenna, we extended street sweeping from November 30th, ending November 30th, to ending on December 31st. Because now we tend not to have a lot of snow or any snow sometimes in December, and the leaves are still falling and there's still a mess in the streets. So this was originally, when we did it in the spring to extend it to December, this was not a money grab or any way to pull the wool over taxpayers' faces. And this truly was good intentioned and, to make our streets look prettier and better. So a lot of people are not confused, but a lot of people still don't realize that we've extended it to December. So I think especially with COVID and people still working from home and being home, it would be a nice gesture, actually more than a gesture. I think it would be only fair that this year we only give warnings to people who are parked during street sweeping in December. And then, once they realize, okay, it's extended to December, by next year, people should get the hang of it. But it would be good, I think, just a nice gesture to the taxpayers to tell them we're not looking to take your money. We just want our streets looking nice. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. And Councilor McKenna.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. As Councilor Sereno said, last year, our streets were a mess because the leaves are falling later and later now. But this is weather permitting. So if we do have snow on a street sweeping day, that street sweeper will not come out. So it is weather permitting, but it will extend until December 31st. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any councilors wishing to speak on the motion? Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, as the chairman of the Public Works Subcommittee, I just want to let everybody know that not only is snow an issue but it's the equipment, the street sweeping equipment. If it's too cold, this equipment will not work. The transmission fluid and in the machinery gets very thick and it will not work. So I just want everybody to know, so even if it doesn't snow and the equipment doesn't show up, it's because of that. It's too cold out. So just make everybody aware. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not sure if we still have that second Vector truck in operation, but I think if we do, it might be an appropriate time the next couple of weeks to get it out there and see if we could remove some of these leaves from the neighborhoods that are certainly overburdened with large trees and leaves falling off the trees. And because once that happens, and then you get a snowstorm, those leaves are there until springtime. And I think right now might be an appropriate time to look into that and see if we can get them off the street. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors wishing to speak?
Can I?
Councilor McKenna.
Yes, also, they're also extending the yard waste until the end of December too. It could be the first 2 weeks in December, or it could be the whole month. I just wanted them, the public to know that they are continuing the yard waste in December.
That's great. Thank you. And Council Sereno.
Mr. President, just if I could ask a question through you to Councilor Novoselsky, maybe he would know as Chair of Public Works. Councilor, if for some reason the equipment is not going to be out and working because of the snow or because of it being too cold, we wouldn't be enforcing anyway, would we? Would the communication go to the parking department that, you know, there is no street sweeping and therefore no need to enforce? Because that would be the other concern, is that we're enforcing street sweeping when we're actually not, on occasions that we're actually not street sweeping.
Through you, Mr. President. That is correct, Councilor.
Okay,
If
thank
there's
you.
no sweeping, no ticketing.
Great, thank
No
you.
ticky, no sweepy. Great.
Okay.
Council, and we have a resident wishing to speak. That would be Mr. Lampadecchio.
Thank you, Eric Lampadecchio, 43 Tapley Avenue. I just want to take a moment to commend Council McKenna for her previous motion to keep our streets clean, and to commend Councilor Sereno for this motion to help hopefully keep folks those ticket fines in their pocket for the holidays. So thank you both for thinking of the residents.
Thank you. And if I can on the motion, I like the motion. Again, for this year, I will be in favor of it. I would probably suggested the first time would be a warning, the second time would be a violation, because I tend to feel sometimes people do take advantage of it. But Councilor, I think it's well intended, and Councilor McKenna, I think this is a well intended motion. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, I'm a little late on this comment, but Eric's comment made me think of something. And I was just curious if you knew, I know in the past during the holiday months, the mayor's office did a program where they allowed like donations of toys and other things in exchange for parking tickets. Do you know if they're doing that again this year?
You know, if I can answer that, Councilor, it crossed my mind as well. And I was like, hey, maybe we can get some people to donate some toys. I'd be willing to bet I think that the city is looking to do that. But again, I can't speak on behalf of them, but it's still a little early. I don't think that they want to encourage anyone to accumulate a bunch of parking tickets just yet. But we will be announcing a citywide toy drive and coat drive soon that will be supported. So there might be some communications after that, I hope. We'll all beg. So all in favor on the motion?
Aye.
So
Calendar item number 9, motion presented by Councilor Sereno and McKenna, that the mayor instruct 311 to send out a robocall to all residents at the end of November to remind them that the street sweeping program has been extended by 1 month through the month of December.
Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will actually defer to Councilor McKenna because she's the one who gave, when we were talking about the first motion, she suggested the second one. So I'll let her take the lead on this one if she'd like.
Thank you. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So people don't read signs, so they won't know about this. Well, a lot of them won't know. Some of them won't know, but I think it's a great idea to put robocall into the system and make sure that people know about this program, that it is extending into December. And I also feel that if there isn't, say weather permitting, if there isn't going to be a street sweeper in December coming down because we're having a snowstorm, I really think that we should have a robocall just to tell people they don't have to move their cars. You know, I know people will probably figure it out, but there'll probably be some people that won't. So maybe it should be, you know, weather permitting, you know, if the machine can't run and people, you know, go on the other side to move their cars, maybe there should be a robocall when that happens too. So
thank you.
We need to be more transparent. That's all I need to say.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, again, as the chairman of the subcommittee on public works, I just want to be cautious on telling people not to move their cars, because some of the people, if it is going to be a snowstorm, they may be on an emergency artery. So we don't want to tell them to stay there. So we just got to be careful on how it's worded. And that, we mentioned to the mayor in the motion that weather depending. So
Thank you. Thank you. And I think that if I could speak, any other councilors wish to speak? Council McKenna and Council Serino, again, well intended. The only thing I could say about the robocall is, it's my understanding that we like to use that for emergency purposes more often than not. Obviously, I think, convenience is great and transparency is great. Certainly maybe some public shares and some communication, but, when I think of robocalls, I would hope that we're only getting them when we have to get them, when there's an emergency or there's something that's super important that we need to know about. And then how do you dissect the robocall if it's only areas because of, maybe broken machinery and they can get certain parts of the city, but they can't get the others. But anyway, that's just food for thought. Great motion.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Supported.
Calendar item number 11, motion presented by Councilor Serino, that the City Council present a certificate of commendation to State Representative Rosalie Vincent on the occasion of her retirement from the Massachusetts General Court. Vincent has served for 6.5 years as the state representative for the 16th Suffolk District. Prior to her tenure in the legislature, she spent 25 years tending to the needs of Revere's residents in the office of Revere's state representative on Beacon Hill. And in addition to her professional career, given nearly 50 years of her life to dedicated service to the people of our city through her involvement with various community organizations over the years.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And so I know Councilor Janino wishes to speak as well, but Councilor Serino, that wasn't Zaza barking. So what other council dog wants to be famous?
That was Rudy.
The clerk's dog. Okay. Well, Rudy's going to start waking up Vinny, and Vinny's going to start barking, and it's going to be a big domino effect. Okay, Councilor Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will save my comments for the night we present this resolution and citation. But I do think that it's certainly warranted. Representative Vincent has given 50 years to the community, only the last 6.5 as the rep, but she's been active in a lot of different organizations over the years, and she deserves a happy and healthy retirement. And given COVID, we're not going to be able to give her the proper send-off she deserves. So I think that by honoring her, at least in this way, it'll be a nice way to honor her career as she retires. So thank you, Mr. President, and I will save my comments for that night.
Great, thank you. And Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too will save my comments for that evening, but I would be remiss if I didn't say something tonight. Councilor Serino, this is a wonderful motion. Rep. Vincent has been an advocate for our community, as my colleague mentioned, for well over 50 years. And in this latest capacity over the past 6.5 years, she's really fought for our community. She's fought for funding. She's fought for our environmental rights, and she's been an incredible role model and advocate to the city. So I look forward to speaking on that evening.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky and Councilor Zambito.
Mr. President, I just want to say a few words because I probably won't say them that night because it'll be Rosalie and I were actually born on the same day, same year. So we're birthday buddies. But she's done an outstanding job with all the Reinsteins that she's worked for. And, I'm proud of having dealt with her all these years. And I just ask Councilor Serino, isn't this a conflict of interest?
You would think he works for her.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's it. And I do congratulate her for a great job that she's done over the years as the rep and as the aide, the chief of staff for all the Reinsteins. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And we have Councilor Zambito, then Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd be remiss if I didn't briefly comment. Everybody knows that Rosalie and I had maybe one public disagreement, but what they probably don't know is that we agreed on most things. And one of the things that I want to publicly thank her for is her support for CAPIC. Now, most people know I've been a board member of CAPIC for over 20 years. She was instrumental in helping us get the funding that really helped needy people. And we'll be forever grateful for that and all her other service. Like I said, we might have had one public disagreement, and we still do disagree on that, but I admire her, and she serves the city very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers, and then Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I first got elected to the city council, the northern end of the beach, the boulevard as we know it, with regard to parking, lighting,
John, your volume?
Lost them.
meeting her down at Santorini's, and the sincere, intense interest that she took in my comments and my observations, which became her observations, and we saw something had to be done down there. It just couldn't exist like that. And I know that Rosalie had a very strong feeling for what needed to be done down there, and she worked very diligently with myself and I believe Senator Travellini at the time, making the northern end of the boulevard what it is today. And then came along Wheelabrator, and many meetings we had over in Saugus with the Saugus Board of Health, with the selectmen over there, and Rosalie was there every single time, putting in the effort to make sure that any problems over there were abated. And I can't, we didn't make a complete success over there, but I can say this: if it wasn't for Rosalie and her work and effort at Wheelabrator, it would be a lot worse today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna, then Councilor Gonasso.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rosalie and I worked on many issues facing Revere, and we worked well together. And from that, we became really good friends over the years. She will definitely be missed, but she does have a good replacement taking her place. So congratulations, Rosalie, for your retirement.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Gonasso.
President, it's a pleasure to talk about someone who's leaving public service with such a great record, but it's also rewarding to hear people who want to serve in our community and offer their services when necessary. And I think Rosalie paid her dues. She did it the hard and honest way that people do in achieving and attaining promotions as she goes along. She worked as an understudy and staff member for Kathy Reinstein, initially first for Bill Reinstein, and then she went on to Kathy Reinstein, and then she proceeded to make a mark for herself when the opportunity arose that she could run for the office. She did a great job in campaigning, and who better qualified to handle the position than someone who served in that capacity. So we applaud her efforts. We thank her for being such a good servant to the public, and we look forward to her and Richie enjoying many years of retirement. And I know their lifestyle. They seem to know what to do in retirement. They know how to live. And certainly, if you know how to live, you know how to retire. So I think that's a good quality. And with their family surrounding them, they're going to have a wonderful life ahead of them. So I congratulate her in the many years to come. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And Councilor Morbido.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm not going to say goodbye to our state rep, because one thing I know about our state representative, Rosalie Vincent, is relevance is a key word. No matter whether she was working for, when she was working for either of the Reinsteins, or while she was in the state rep, as a state rep herself, she always stayed relevant in the community, always attended functions, always went to the senior centers. One thing that I know is I will not miss her because she will always stay relevant and always stay present in our community. And I look forward to seeing her around. And if she's watching, I hope she continues to continue her efforts working with the city council and Jessica Janino and in the future, because I think there's a lot we can learn from her, because her experience over the years in the State House, in our community, is something that we can use as a city council for expertise. So bon voyage for a little while.
Nice to take a copy.
Thank you, Councilor. And Councilor Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to save my comments for the time that we present this certificate, but I would like to say I wish her the best in her retirement, and we'll say a little bit more when that time comes. So I do wish her the best. She will be missed, but like my Councilor McKenna said, she has a very good replacement, and I'm glad to see that Councilor Janino is replacing her. It's a great addition to the state rep seat. So, but I will save my comments for later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And likewise, I know that, what can I say that already hasn't been said, except for the fact that we do look to honor her in the sense that she's done such a wonderful job for so many years. And it stinks that she's going to miss out on some more in-person events that she is due. But I can just tell you that one thing about Madam Representative is she is all Revere. When you think of her, you just think of, she is 100% thick and thin Revere. So we really appreciate all that time she spent over the last years, many years representing this area. All in favor on the motion?
Aye.
So ordered.
Calendar item number 12, motion presented by Councilor Keith that the City Council order to a public hearing on November 23rd, 2020, the following proposed ordinance. An ordinance further amending the revised ordinances of the City of Revere relative to transient vendors, door-to-door solicitors, and canvassers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is going to go to a public hearing on the 23rd. And I just, when we talk about it more in depth on the public hearing, there's just some cleanup on these ordinances that I think is due. So if you have questions on that, or if you want to talk about it, certainly it would be a good opportunity. And then I do and I see Councilor Guanasso, we did have a resident, Mary Gandolfo. I will submit her letter to the council, to the clerk, to be read into the record on the 23rd as well. Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, is that a typo, November 23rd or October 23rd?
November 23rd, right? Well,
November 23rd?
Let's take a look at it. Madam Clerk?
Should be October 23rd? That's
today, we're in November, aren't we?
Yeah.
You want to go back a year?
No, let's go forward.
Okay, November 23rd.
All right, thank you.
Councilor.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Hey, good. That's why I want these early meetings. I don't want them too late.
Boy. All in favor on the motion? Aye.
Calendar item number 13, motion presented by Councilor Keith that the mayor request the DPW and the city engineer to amend the rules and regulations in accordance with section 2.63.070B1, public way disturbances and occupancy permits, so as to provide notification to and approval by the ward councilor prior to the issuance of a curb cut permit.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I know that Councilor Novoselsky wishes to speak. My hopes tonight is to get this sent into your committee, Councilor Novoselsky, but just so I can just kind of bring it up real briefly is I do not want to add layers upon layers and red tape to get someone a curb cut, but I do want to stop people from using curb cuts to expand their property beyond its boundaries by kind of circumventing the rules. So, and I'll just use one brief example. I'm not going to use the address. It's not, I don't think that this is fair, but we were duped. a resident got a curb cut on a lot that was a 1.5 bedroom home for many, many years, surrounded by neighbors on a very small lot. Okay, 1.5 bedroom home, not very intrusive on the neighborhood. Someone bought the house, of course, after it was left vacant for some time, and obviously didn't have enough parking to make it a legal two-family. They went to city, they got a curb cut, not really thinking much that they would be able to transition this small home into a two-family. And lo and behold, as soon as they got the curb cut, they had the ability to get the parking allowed to have a two-family without any neighborhood input, zero. And that, to me, can't happen. So if there's only a few properties left in the city for that to happen to, I want it to be able to go in front of the city council so that we can weigh in on it, or at least the ward council is weighing on it. So it bothers me that happened, because I look to the neighbors that called me and they were angry, but they were like, Pat, can you help us out? And I'm like, of course, this needs to go in front of the ZBA, or it needs to go in front of the city council for a special permit. And it didn't, because they got the parking. So you get where I'm coming, Councilor Novoselsky?
I do, Mr. President, and I'll yield until the subcommittee meeting before we discuss.
Thank you. Councilor Guanasso.
President, I think this is coming in a very timely manner. I think it's very, very important, because now we have a lot of people within our community who come up with these creative planning. Because of the new parking regulations, they're going to be crunched for all these additional cars that they have within their homes. So they're going to come up with all kinds of ideas to maybe put a lot of, what we have to watch for also is front yard parking lots, which is against and prohibited within our community. And I see some of them springing up now. So this is perfect timing to stop this from happening and to give us an insight and some control over it and some neighborhood input before it happens. Good move. A very, very good motion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Morbido, and then Councilor Morbido.
Mr. President, is this going to legislative affairs? Because is this an amendment change, or is this a ordinance change, or just rules in the DPW department?
This actually would be a regulation change. I don't believe it's an
It'd
ordinance.
be zoning, I think.
This is not an ordinance change. This is rules that the city engineer and the DPW have in place with regards to permit for curb cut permits. It's not set by ordinance. The ordinance just says that they have to have a set of rules. So you would be asking the engineer and the DPW to change their rules that they have for curb cut permits.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not an ordinance.
I think it would be best, and of course, and I've already spoken to the Public Works Department. And again, I don't want to just go ahead and take things away from them, or, I think that they do a very, very good job. But again, there's that 1% of the time that we can get things to slip through.
Good move.
So,
my only concern about that, whereas it just says ward counselor, my concern is the whole purpose of having a governmental body is to have checks and balances. And where you're having one person, the ward counselor, who can make that sole decision, that's my only concern, which I think, the ward counselors, they know their ward, which is great. But at the same time, I think we have to be cautious and look out for that, because there should be some kind of checks and balances.
Yep, good call, Counselor. And I would be very amenable to offering it up to the entire city council. I just didn't want to, add too much, but I would be totally okay with that. So we'll have a couple other councils speak. Council McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I think this is a great motion on a street. I'm not going to name any streets, but it was granted that they took out the front yard, and they're and hot topped it, and they're parking in front of right abutting their house. And what's happened is it's a hill. So with that front yard being gone, the water is running down the street and going into people's yards, and they're all on hills. So they're flooding people's yards because of just because they took out this piece of land in front of their house, and they're flooding, and the walls are getting ruined, and it's really a mess down there. So and they did it, they didn't come through the council. I didn't even know about it, and it would just happened. They got approved. So I think, yes, we should do a better job with this.
Right.
And I think they should allow the ward councilors and the councilor at large, as Stephen,
Yep.
to know about what's going on in the city. We need to be more transparent in the city. Things happen in the city that the ward councilors don't even know what's happening until the residents call and say, hey, look, my street's getting dug up. What's going on? And I would say, I don't know. So I think I think that's the biggest problem in this city is we're not transparent enough, and communication is not being told to the councilors. Councilors should know what's going on in their ward. Councilors should know what's going on in their ward, and councilor at larges should know what's going on in the city. So that's just how I feel, and I feel that's with every motion that comes up. So thank you, Mr. President. This is a wonderful motion.
Well, thank you, Councilor. And Councilor Powers?
No.
No? Okay, any other councilors? So we're going to order this to the Public Works Subcommittee at the next council meeting. All in favor? So ordered.
Aye.
There's no further business, Council President.
Before we close, we do have a few points of personal privilege. One, Council Novoselsky and Serino wish to speak, and then I would like to offer something to the council, to the residents of Revere. Council Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, just a public service announcement. This coming Wednesday is November 11th, which is Veterans Day. And normally we have lots of fanfare and dinner dances, but because of the pandemic, we are unable to have all this. But in cooperation with the mayor and City Veteran Service Officer Mark Silvestri, that we will be putting on a virtual Veterans Day event ceremony on Wednesday, 11/11 at 11/11. And Mark has a nice program put together, and I urge everybody to tune in on it. I know there are many, many, many other events going on for Veterans Day, but I urge all the citizens of Revere and our city council and other officials to tune in and see what's going on and help celebrate, the veterans that are still around. Knowing that Memorial Day, we're remembering all our deceased. But this is for those that are alive, and we can wish them well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Council Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Novoselsky basically said it all. I just wanted to make sure that before we adjourned, that we did recognize that Wednesday is Veterans Day, and that we as a city council honor those veterans and we thank them for their service. We truly appreciate what they've given to our country, to our community. And so thank you, veterans, and I hope that you all have a wonderful Veterans Day and celebrate accordingly, and that everybody in our community honor veterans in a way that's appropriate. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. And just to note, Council Novoselsky, of course, was in the armed services as a veteran. And also Councilor Rotundo was in the armed services. So we have, and prior to that, we had many other councils that have served in the armed forces. So we thank them for their service. Thank you. If I may, Councilor Zambuto, I see your hand is raised.
It is. Thank you for noticing. I just wanted to mention, for those of us on this council that donates every year to the Veterans Committee, please, just because we're having a virtual thing this year, please send your check in, as I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor. And if I can take a moment of personal privilege, just to bring up a couple points. Obviously, tonight's meeting, we have gone back to full in Zoom for the council. There were many councils that felt that this was the best way to proceed, as well as some city staff. And who am I to say no? And I think that we as a council are intelligent enough to err on the side of caution when it comes to our loved ones and people that we work closely with. But what I wanted to say is, obviously, selfishly, I'm the council president this year, and I've been doing most of it from my dining room table. And my beautiful family has to listen to me the entire time rather than just tune me out, because I get to go to the city hall and be in front of residents and be in front of many of my colleagues. So it's kind of been a bummer for me, but For the residents of Revere, I know that maybe people aren't getting as sick as they were before. And certainly, the great news is that people are recovering at a much higher percentage than was original. The mortality rate is much better than we expected. But we're not getting the message, and people are not doing what needs to be done to lower the amount of positive cases in the city. Okay, and we can point fingers at who and why and what and where, and we just need to do a much better job of that. And I say it because forget about my selfishness, and we can't be in the council. I'm gonna, as a parent, and I know there's other parents on this call or on this Zoom, there's 7,000 Revere students, over 7,000 Revere students that can't go to school and haven't been able to go to school since last March. They can't participate in normal activities. They can't see their friends. They can't learn in person. Spanish-speaking residents cannot get a good education. Students that need have special needs cannot get a good education. This isn't because people aren't trying. This is not what I'm saying. This is because we can't get them into school because of our positivity rate, because we need to do a better job at managing how we deal with COVID in our city, in our state, in our country. It's not fair to those 7,000 plus students. It's not fair to their parents. We need to get back to some sense of normalcy. They're being traumatized for life. Everyone here agrees with me. These children are being traumatized for life. So all I'm gonna ask is take away the selfishness, please, with respect, and let's do our part to help each other get this back in line. Thank you. And with that, everyone have a great night. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for being here tonight. See you on the 23rd.
Night, y'all.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.